And we have kids who play that don't ever even want to play in college, but their parents and the players see the value in those lessons that are learned because of commitment, leadership, discipline, loyalty, all of those things that are part of our core values.
Welcome to another episode of Clear Lake Connections, where we talk to the people behind the brands of Bay Area Houston, proudly sponsored by UTMB Health. Today I have with me Katy Garza, co-owner of AVA Volleyball Academy, stands for Absolute Volleyball Academy. I've been looking forward to this. Tell us about AVA, how it got started, and kind of where you are now.
Okay, we merged our clubs in 2006. Jerry Linch, my business partner, had Zero Gravity, and I had a club called Texas Riptide that was mainly made up of, started at least with my Alvin High School kids. And we were competing for the same athletes. And Jerry, he kept trying to steal all my tall athletes. He had some great smaller ball control players. So I went up and approached him at a tournament, and I said, Jerry, do you just want to merge? Because since you're trying to steal my kids anyway. I never expected him to take me up on that offer, but he did, and it was a blessing, and it's been a great partnership since.
And you guys were both teachers, correct?
Yes, and we still are. He teaches at Friendswood High School, and I'm at Rise Academy. It's the at-risk campus for Alvin.
That's awesome. I think a lot of the volleyball coaches in the club scene are probably somehow related to work in education.
Quite a few, but we have NASA engineers, we've had rocket scientists, we have stay-at-home moms. We have a little bit of everything, but probably about 25% are in the education.
And so my daughter was at AVA, and you guys do a great job of instilling work ethic. You really make those kids work harder than they think they can. Mm-hmm. And I love the fact that you guys made the kids take ownership of the space as well.
Yes.
Tell us about your philosophy on it's not volleyball per se, but on raising good young people.
Right. Well, one of our core values is service, and not just taking care of their own facility, but they also have to choose a service project that could benefit the community. We had kids that did a food drive this year. We do a fundraiser to raise awareness for mental health. So yes, the kids do some facility duties, and we want them to take ownership and be proud, because that's their home, and so they take care of it. The teams also each volunteer and work a tournament, and I think we get such good positive feedback from people visiting our facility that they're well greeted and taken care of throughout the day, because we have parents and players from the team that's working that day that just helps to make their day easier.
Yeah, and I was struck when my daughter was there. Some of the kids she played with, they would drive an hour to 2 hours just to get to practice.
We have had kids drive as far as Wharton and Sweeney, Needville, Katy. We had a girl from Katy this year, and sometimes when they're coming across town, it's a lot of the traffic too. And then of course the kids come from south is not as bad at traffic, but a lot more miles. It's pretty amazing to have kids come that far. Sometimes they'll play at a local club when they're younger, but then their college coach will say, we really want you to be on the most competitive team you can be in the Houston area for your age group. And then that's where we get some of those kids that will drive in for their last couple of years. Yeah,
and so speak to us about competitive. You guys are very competitive, and tell us about some of the honors you guys have won and some of your teams that kind of stand out to you.
Well, we've had, since 2006, we've had 5 national championships and in various divisions. USA Volleyball's grown so much, and so is the largest sports for girls. And so they have a lot of different divisions at the national level. And we have a lot of players playing in college, and we still have players that are playing overseas and international and professionally. So we have a very competitive environment for kids who want that experience, but we also have teams for local and developmental for kids that are just wanting to play in their high schools or make their junior high teams. And then Chaz, who some of y'all here have met, he does an incredible job with our developmental program called Aviators, and he had over 200 athletes in our spring season. So we'll have some summer camps coming up for those kids, and then we'll do the fall Aviators again. But that's just a great developmental program to get kids involved. It's only one night a week, so parents can kind of test the waters to see if it's something their kid is interested in doing before they make a bigger commitment.
Because it is a commitment.
Yes, it is.
And we can't, I don't know if I can accurately describe it to those people that have not been to one of these volleyball tournaments. I remember going to one in Dallas, and they have that convention center there. And I want people to picture an entire convention center like the George R. Brown, every single space on the floor is filled with volleyball courts, and there must literally be how many teams are at these big tournaments?
Over 1,000.
1,000 screaming teenage girls. It was mind blowing. It really was.
It is. It's coming at you so fast, and it is a shock for a lot of people. One time I had my little boy do karate, and I walked into a karate tournament, and I was like so overwhelmed, and I thought, this must be what it feels like for a club volleyball parent, because I was totally a fish out of water. I didn't know what to expect. I think we were 2 hours early.
I can confirm that. I was blown away. I was like, you mean I have to go 3 miles to the other side of the building to see my daughter play? What's going on here? It really is, and it speaks to, like you said, it's the number one youth girl sport,
yes,
and it is for a reason. I mean, it's the passion that those kids have for the game, and just and beyond that, though, as a volleyball parent, you build friendships and camaraderie, and for those that don't know, these travel volleyball teams, they literally go, I won't say the ends of the earth, but there's some travel involved, and it's a big do.
It is. They'll practice at our club 3 nights a week, and they may go out of state 3 times a season, maybe 4. And then our seniors, we always take them on an international trip, and they had been doing Nicaragua in the years past, but the last couple of years have gone to Costa Rica just because it's been a little safer. And they'll do a service project when they're down there as well. Our kids that are graduating this year, when they were 15s, we took them to Norway as part of a sister exchange between Stavanger and the Galveston-Houston area, and that was a neat experience for the kids to go and actually stay with the host families.
Yeah. So it sounds like, yes, volleyball is a big part of what you do, but honestly, it sounds like it's more than that. It's about raising good kids. It's about preparing them for the next level, whatever that is, whether it includes volleyball or not.
Yes.
Tell us what, if I have a child that seems really good at volleyball, what kind of opportunity should I keep in mind for my child, and give them a shot at, maybe if that's what they want to do, following through on that.
Right. And we have kids who play that don't ever even want to play in college, but their parents and the players see the value in those lessons that are learned because of commitment, leadership, discipline, loyalty, all of those things that are part of our core values. But for the parents that are just starting out, the aviators is always a good thing when they're young. My own daughters started off in that because it's just 1 night a week. Doing camps or lessons that are maybe specialized in their position. Volleyball's gotten to be really detailed and specific about their positions. We want them to play all of them, but eventually the kids need to really put the hours into an area so they can, be really good at that. And then they have to do the video stuff with the huddle, and we the sports stuff to make highlight films, and we do teach the kids how to market themselves and how to contact the coaches and put themselves out there, because if every kid that has wanted to play in college and puts the work in has gone on to do that. But it does take work, and we don't wave a magic wand. We teach the kids how to do that work so that they earn that themselves.
Yeah, and like I said, my daughter got pushed in ways she didn't know she could, and I think there's such value in team sports, even if you're not going to do the team sport or whatever. And I think we lose sight of that, and so it's refreshing for an organization like yours to really focus on the individual and not necessarily just the sport. So
right, and sometimes that's hard to push people out of their comfort zone, and not everyone appreciates it. It is a little hard. I think some of those lessons may not be seen at the moment, but they're seen years later. I know, personally, some of the things that have happened in my life, if I didn't have the experiences I had at UT, was such a tough coach, and I love him to death, but, he really pushed me hard, but those lessons helped me get through hard things in my life. So sports definitely translates into the real world.
Yeah, and I want to ask you about your volleyball background, but before we do that, I have to go to Sherry Sweeney for some important announcements from the Chamber.
If you're enjoying the podcast and want to learn what the Chamber has to offer, like seminars for your business to develop or networking opportunities to build relationships with others in the community, go to clearlakearea.com.
And we're back. So, Katy, tell me about your experience. For those that don't know, you played at one of the biggest volleyball schools in the United States. Tell us how you got there and what that experience was like.
Well, I played at Alvin High School, and I played 4 sports, and my favorite sport was just whatever season it was. Volleyball was probably the last sport that I ever learned to play. But during a by-district match, the coach from Dobie, Donna Branch, saw something in me and encouraged me to go and try out for a club. And at that time, there was only one club in town, Houston Juniors, and Mike Enlow, who had a law office here in Webster several years ago. They've retired since then, but they helped me get involved in club volleyball, and that's where I got seen to decide to play college volleyball at the University of Texas. And they only had one scholarship to give that year, and they had already offered it to someone else. But once I decided that's where I wanted to go, I wrote them letters and harassed them until they decided to take a chance on me. And played 4 years there and had some opportunities to keep playing. I was in the national team program. I went to the Germany between my junior and senior year on their B team, and had an invitation to go with the national team after I graduated. But my knees just kind of hurt pretty bad, so I thought I'd spend the summer recovering. And I was going to go and play in Belgium in the fall after 3 more months of rehabbing my knee, but it just really never felt better. It was just kind of bone on bone. I had a lot of cartilage loss, so I decided to give it up. And then my high school coach asked me if I wanted to come and coach, and I was like, well, I guess so. I did, 2 things I thought I'd never be was a coach and a teacher, and I think God has such a sense of humor because I'm both, and I love both. It's what feels natural for me. I've just from a big family, and I just have always enjoyed being around kids and youth, and it's where I met my husband. He was also a teacher and a coach at Alvin High School.
You brought up a good point, and somewhere along the lines, volleyball kind of changed, and you talked about how specific it becomes, and how there's certain jobs, but the physical demands of volleyball, I was shocked at the toll it takes, and you've got these kids diving on basically hardwood floors, and talk about the physical demands of volleyball and what these kids should expect from that.
That's a tough question because being a multi-sport athlete, I value that, and unfortunately, in the way it's set up, it's very hard for the kids to keep doing that. And I think training in different and multiple sports helps keep the kids healthier, gives them a little bit of break. We encourage that when they're younger, but once we get into those high school teams and those top travel teams, they're spending so much money to go to these events that we need the best team to show up. And we can't have the only setter or the top middle miss because of a basketball event, because there's just so much money involved getting those teams to those tournaments. But we want them to do it as much as they can. Playing beach volleyball is a change of surfaces, and that helps the kids. Both of my daughters play in the beach program, and they have enjoyed it. And it's a break from the team, and they can focus on doubles and get a lot of touches. And it's a little bit better, give their joints a break. But you're right, the sport court on concrete, I don't think I would have lasted having to play my whole career on that. And that's why Jerry and I invested a lot to do the TerraFlex floor at our new facility, so the kids can, do the jumping and the training and it not be so bad on their joints. But, we've partnered with TD3 Fitness with Terrence. He's one of our tenants in our facility, so he trains our kids too. And then, of course, he trains lots of clients outside of AVA as well, but he does at least a 30-minute training with all of our kids that are working on prevention. And we also, Dr. Jack Folkman is also one of our tenants with Gateway Chiropractor, and he's next door. So it's so nice to have both of those people next to us. And we'll just knock on their door and say, hey, can you come help and work with our kids? And so we try to provide a support system, and even Methodist is one of our sponsors, and they come in and they provide the trainers for our athletes during the tournaments to help keep everybody healthy and be there in case there is an injury.
Wow, it's like it's grown into, everything in one place. And speaking of your new place, tell the audience about that. It's a gorgeous, I drive by it on my way here to the chamber, and I'm like, wow, that's, I feel like, wow, my kid was at that club, and now look at it. So
I know it's, sometimes I just have to pinch myself, and I laugh, and I think that's not bad for 2 teachers, but it's a lot of effort and a big team effort. And just having the right people in our program, and one of my favorite people that we've added in the last, 6 years is Amanda Bunn, our CPA. When I was the varsity coach at Alvin High School, she was just a kid, and she was my manager. And so that girl could take care of stats and video and fax it into the Houston Chronicle before I even finished talking to my team. I mean, so when I saw her on LinkedIn a few years back, I was like, oh my goodness, she took care of me when she was 14. I bet she can do it again. And she's been wonderful. And she's really helped us shape our business into what it is today.
That's great. That's fantastic to have one of your students come back and now you're CPA.
Yes. Yep.
So anything else you want to share about AVA that people should know or that you think is important to know?
Well, it's one of those things, yes, we teach volleyball, but I really feel like we're in the people business. It's been about building relationships with our families. Family's been really strong with our players and parents, and even the relationships that Jerry and I have built with the other club directors across Houston. When COVID hit, everybody was just, shocked about how are we going to survive? What are we going to do? And the volleyball world was just so loving and comforting. Everybody was trying to help each other out because we all were in the same boat. And then just to make it through the year and to make it out and grow. And that's what happened with AVA. We not only made it, but I feel like we really grew from it. And so that's what's valuable to us is those long lasting relationships that those kids come back and they coach for us or they do something with the program and that's a compliment. That's what I love the most about being part of AVA.
Yeah, I think one of my daughter's coaches was a former player, and it's really nice to see them come back and then contribute in that way.
Yes, absolutely.
So for our audience members that maybe have a young daughter that they might think would be a good candidate for getting involved with volleyball, what age do you recommend and how should they get in touch with you guys?
Okay. Well, our aviator program will have a pre-flight, and that's like our first and second graders, so they can be pretty young, and they're just working on motor skills and throwing mechanics, and that's what I would suggest for every parent is to teach your daughter to throw correctly. When she already knows how to do that, she'll pick up serving and hitting really fast. So they can contact us at avatexas.com or info@avatexas.com. And we have online registrations for all of our camps.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us. It's been a lot of fun, and it's got me thinking about those volleyball days again. And I'm glad you guys are doing okay, that you're getting to travel again and go to those monstrous tournaments with all the thousands of other teams. And so, again, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Clear Lake Connections. Please follow us on our social media, and you can find our recordings on all of the platforms. And if you want to learn more or become better at business, I encourage you to join the Clear Lake Area Chamber of Commerce so that you can help grow your business. Visit clearlakearea.com to learn more.